Essence, a participant of Hudson Guild's Teen Services, and this is HGPC Hudson Guild Podcast.
Welcome back to the Hudson Guild Podcast. Today we're interviewing Ariel Urbas. I'm so sorry.
It's fine, it's hard to pronounce.
So you're a 15-year-old that got your art both in MoMA and the Met.
Yeah.
So how's that feel? Like, how did you react? How did your family react? How was the news when you first heard it?
So my family was a lot more excited than me, I think. Even though it was my accomplishment. I don't know. Mm-hmm. At first I was kind of it's kind of surreal. So you don't really feel much. You're like, oh, me? What? So later though, it did set in. I was like, wow, I'm here. I get to tell people that I'm here. It's more bragging, right? But,
no, definitely. Yeah. I can only imagine. You have your artwork in two internationally known museums. A question that I also wanted to ask was when did you start art or have you ever has this been a thing that you've always had? Yeah, and that you have a lineage that goes farther back that of people have also done art. What is kind of what made you start art in the first place?
So I've kind of always been artistically inclined, because mainly my mom was an artist, so I was always seeing her paint, and on her side it's also, they're just creative, not necessarily they paint, but they do crafts and stuff. So I was mainly raised with that around me. There was always paint or a canvas or something, and my mom and my family were always very supportive of it. So yeah, I've just always painted. I didn't really leave the house much. I don't. So just paint, yeah.
Have you ever thought about the meaning or what you were hoping to express with your art? And do you think that your art has given you what kind of audience do you think that your art has brought?
Honestly, I'm not sure what audience, but I have thought about the meaning about a lot of my pieces. Mm-hmm. It's kind of emo. I don't know. But for example, I guess I'll just talk about the one that's in the Met right now. Mm-hmm. So that one's called Leaving the Lighthouse, and it's a scratch board piece of me and my friend when we did visit a lighthouse, so it's pretty literal. But so that one was about the fact that when I was there, I was just kind of reflecting on life and how I am where I am today, just throughout the years, going through school, stuff like that. It was really just, the entire time I was really self-aware of how I got to where I was, even though we weren't even doing anything crazy. We were watching the water and stuff. So yeah. So in the background, it doesn't look like it, but there's a little guy he's standing next to the water, and he's kind of reflected on it. So that was supposed to be there, and it's a little solemn looking, because but yeah.
Do you feel like your creative expression is kind of you feel like you're intentionally like you said, where they are being reflected into the water? Have you put in details that are intentionally meant to mean something, or is the artwork just kind of a expression, a subconscious expression, you just kind of drew to, or you painted to paint without really knowing what it was?
For the bigger pieces I have, the ones that I've finished, they usually do have a meaning, but I do get really ornate with the artwork, with the textures and stuff like that. I just really like color. So I'll smear it a lot, but there usually is a meaning.
But in the bio, we saw that you come from a Mexican and Jewish background, right?
Yeah.
So how do you feel if you do, not everyone does it, I mean, we don't really do that, honestly, but how do you feel if you do incorporate your background, your cultural background into your work, if you do?
So with the Jewish and I'm several things, but I'm mainly Mexican. So a lot of that, I'm not really sure if it's represented. It's more because I know the colors are very vibrant in Mexican folk art and stuff. I do really love that style, and I do try to emulate that with sometimes I'll put embroidery in the pieces if it's canvas. So it's mainly just with the colors that I use. It does remind me of that, but with the Jewish and the Polish, I do need to incorporate more of that in my art. I've been thinking about that recently, actually. Yeah.
I got a question, actually.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, do you feel like there's just another painting of yours that you would rather inside of the Met than the one that you have now? Like, do you feel like there was one that would be like more impactful, or that you would just like to see in there more than the piece that you already have?
That's a really good question. um, I don't know. More impactful, probably. Actually, yes, there is a piece, but I thought it was like too small to submit. So, but it's like very detailed though. Yeah, so it was basically the way I got into the Met was because there was this thing called the Scholastic Art and Literature Competition. Yeah, and you could just submit a bunch of. Yeah, yeah, like the book fair. I think it's just sponsored by the book fair, so it also takes the name. But anyway, it's been around for like 100 years, and I found out about it like, I don't know, like a year and a half ago. So it wasn't even like an old thing I knew. But anyway, yeah, you get to choose what you submit. You just have to put the measurements and stuff. So I didn't put mine because, actually no, at the time I didn't make it. I made it like a couple months later. But if I had the option, I would put it there. I'm not really sure how to explain it, but it's this woman, and she's like standing against a bluish background, and there's a bunch of stuff going on. Like, it's really hectic. There's a lot of chaotic stuff. And
Picture of it?
it's on my can I say my Instagram? I don't want to. Okay. Yeah.
Joe Rogan podcast? Like, bro, pull that up right now.
Okay.
Oh, God.
do I okay. It's Ariel.Urbas. Do you need
Okay, no. I
Yeah.
agree with you. That deserves to be inside the Met. That shit,
Thank you.
That shit go hard.
Yeah, it's just kind of small. Like, it's this big. So out of all my pieces, it's not very large.
I thought when you were saying it was small, I thought it was gonna be like
No.
like the size of my phone, like damn. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like normal. It's a printer.
All right, I have another question. So, is your favorite medium like oil paint, acrylic? What is your favorite medium?
So I began with like watercolor. So I think I'm very good at watercolor, but I kind of geared away from it because I like smearing stuff, and you have to be kind of like patient, and there's a bunch of layers that you have to put with watercolor. And I really like vibrant colors, so you can't really get that unless you're layering extremely. So sometimes I'll start off with like a base of watercolor, and then I'll go in with other medias. But recently I've really been liking oil pastel because you can like smear it around, and I just like smearing stuff. Like, I don't know, like a 5-year-old answer. It's like,
It's the primitive part of your brain.
yeah, exactly.
You have a question?
I remember you mentioned Mexican folk art. Do you know when you were first introduced to it, or do you have like any like very like early fond memories of it?
I don't know. It's just more like my mom is Mexican, so I'm always seeing stuff. Like, and also not just that. Like, obviously just the culture. Like, my mom is always playing the classics and stuff like that. So I've always been like exposed to that. And my family, on my dad's side, which is the Jewish and Polish, they don't really live in the U.S. And the ones that do, we visit them. But there's just not as many. Like, I'm more surrounded with my Mexican family. So it's just more, there's more around me.
Do you feel like you attending LaGuardia has any impact on your art skill right now, or at the moment that you published that piece?
One minute. Yeah, actually, the teachers are really helpful. They're very supportive, and they have a lot of mediums there because, I don't know, I guess it's well-funded. I'm not sure. I don't know about that. But they have a lot of mediums. I'm actually wearing a lag shirt today.
I know.
Okay. I don't know who made the slogan. It says "Live, Love, Lag." I don't know. But yeah, they're really supportive. The teachers are really kooky. Like, I don't even know how to explain it.
I think that's just like an art school thing, because I think because we're going to high school fashion industries, there are definitely lots of unhinged teachers that are doing very interesting things. They're all very good, but like
They're weird.
Yeah, they're very weird
in a lovable way, but they're weird.
Right. They're very unique.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know that you go to like a school of a major, but do you plan on pursuing that major as a career? Because in our school, like, even though we have like multiple major CTEs, a lot of people don't end up pursuing that major in college. But do you think, like, since you already have such a head start in this like area, do you think you're gonna continue, or do you want to branch out into something else?
I don't know. I feel like it'd be like kind of a waste if I didn't. So I'm definitely gonna continue with it, but I think I want to branch out into different types of art because fine art is mainly like on a canvas and stuff. I do want to try like film, and stuff like that. I haven't really recorded much yet, but I am planning on figuring that out and doing other areas, photography, stuff like that.
Do you have any like artists that you would consider inspirations of yours? But like, even if that doesn't, just incorporate your mom.
I do, yes. I actually, so I actually wrote down some names yesterday, but I can only remember one right now. But their name is like Sangruel or something like that. I don't know. They're a Korean artist.
Oh my god.
You know them? Yeah.
Yes, I follow them.
Exactly. I love their artwork so much. It's so beautiful, and it's like it's so much like the human experience. Like it's so pretty. Yeah.
Have you ever tried to incorporate the human experience into your art? Like, is that something that you want to do in the future?
I feel like the human experience is just, it could be like anything. It's very broad, so I do think so. I do try to capture emotions and stuff like that.
Do you think that your art would be under any like genre, any historical genre?
I don't know. I think maybe a little bit of surrealism because it's just there's a lot going on. But yeah, probably that.
Does anyone else have any questions? I feel like I've been talking a lot.
Oh, I was gonna spur from what Andy was saying about college. Like, are you even gonna go to college? Out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Okay, I have an idea. Okay, based off of like what I've seen from like your art, you're very like abstract in the way you do it. I feel like you should try to like branch out to doing like stop motion or like clay. I feel like that would be really cool for you. I don't know. I've seen some work before that's like similar to what you have, but like literally right there, like physical. So maybe you should try that.
I like that idea.
I definitely
It's
could
cool.
see.
It's like a lot of. It's very like I don't know. There's a lot of consuming. Yeah, it's time consuming. You know,
Yeah.
patience for it. But
Lots
I
of
think all
depth.
art is like that. So I think you could try that. That's really good.
Do you sell your art anywhere? Like, have you started
Oh,
to?
your submission?
Yeah, like, have you like done commissions? Do you have prints? Do you have like your own merch?
Not yet. I my own merch, but no, not yet. I also need to start that. There's a lot of things I need to start doing,
But like, you're only
A lot of time.
you're only 15, girl. Don't worry.
Yeah, you're way
I'll get there.
I'm not gonna lie, we all were like, yo, she got her thing in the MoMA, and we're like, you think she got paid? Like, how much you think she got paid? We're like, can we ask that? Are we allowed to? But
I got paid nothing.
Oh.
I know.
This is
but
Right.
it's still publicity. It's something. It's also like
It's still good. Yeah,
it's a
thank you.
flex.
Don't feed you.
Yeah, my art was on there. And you're 15. Like, that's a really good jump compared to a lot of people. Like, that's
Definitely.
dope. Like, right on your resume. I don't even care. Like,
No, oh, of course.
Period.
got my art on that museum. Go see it.
Do you
Like,
know that like the competition you went into, was that like an international thing, a national thing, regional, like
Yeah, so the one for the Met was regional. Yeah, it's like all I remember. It was regional. But if you do get the regional, so there's like different tiers you could get for the Scholastic Art Awards, which got me into the Met. I got like the gold key, which is like there's 3 different ones I think. There's honorable mentions, there's silver key, and there's gold key. So yeah, so I got that one, and that's I think only if you got gold key you could be in the Met. A lot of people got gold key. Well, you know what I mean, out of like a lot of people that apply. But yeah, so if you do win that, which is regionals, then they start putting you into like nationals. So I don't know information about that yet, but they do put you in there.
Do you think have you researched anything into like the national competition?
No, nothing.
I mean, you should definitely get into that because if you can make it regional, you can start expanding towards like bigger competitions.
Yeah.
Like that would be really good for you. Like that's
Like, imagine having your work in like Florence or something.
That'd be
like,
crazy.
Amazing.
I ain't gonna lie, yo, where's Florence at?
It's
It's
in Italy. It was as an AP art historian, it was the birthplace of the Renaissance.
art historian.
Maybe it's 'cause I don't know, like, the history of Italy like that. What? Yeah. Oh, God. But
Like, cause you're young now. Like, I don't know, where would you see yourself in like the next 5, 10 years regarding art?
I don't know. I like honestly, I'm not sure. Like, there's a ton of careers out there. I was thinking it's kind of out of left field, but I do like architecture a little bit, so maybe something like that because I did try to branch out a little bit into like a STEM program, And I'm like bad at math. I'm very bad at like, I'm extremely bad at math and science and stuff. Like I'm not doing too well, but
Oh.
but anyway, so I did try that, and like I feel like it's something that I could get if I worked harder. So I do think that would work, art and like engineering together. So maybe something with architecture, but that's like I'm not totally set on that. Like I want to do a ton of things.
Do you know what kind of architecture you would have done if you could have? Because I've definitely seen lots of our art people or artists create these beautiful homes or these beautiful like public spaces that kind of like reflect their art style.
That's a good question, but I
don't know.
haven't done it. I just haven't.
You have a lot of time to think about it.
You like literally you have a bunch of like more time than any of us. Do, so.
You're not that much older, it's okay.
I have a question actually. What's one art style you hate?
Oh,
Straight up, just like that you just despise.
I really hate. I'm glad that you said that, because I was talking about this like 3 days ago. I hate that one. Have you guys seen that one on Pinterest where it's just like an outline of someone and then they don't do their face?
Yeah,
They just
yeah.
I hate
know
that.
exactly what you're talking about.
Profile picture.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, okay.
They make me mad, like
That's been
viscerally,
going
like
on for way too long.
exactly. I don't like.
I think it's frustrating to look at because you know you can do so much more.
Yeah.
You choose to just.
Oh, minimalism?
Yeah. But it's like
A little bit.
I call it just bare minimum. Like it's
Yeah.
even like you didn't know how to draw.
Exactly.
Right.
It's like an
You
art
didn't know
project
that,
for
like,
school,
yeah,
like
Exactly.
like ELA art project.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
That is frustrating.
Okay, I have a question actually. Do you have an OC? Like, have you
Do
ever made an
you?
OC or
Oh,
original
that's a really good
character?
question. Or
For
like,
you non-art majors.
But do you have an OC?
I don't know.
Original character.
I just said for the non-art majors. Original character.
I do have some, but I haven't really developed them that much. Because if I want to do that, like I want to commit fully and make like a comic thing.
No, me
so
too. I
yeah.
completely understand.
So probably a lot, but none of them I've like continued. I haven't drawn them more than once. So not really.
Do you have like do you have any like self inserts in any of your art pieces? Speaking of like OCD and stuff like that.
Self portraits.
I mean, like you can say like a self portrait, or it could be like a symbol of that, like the kind of symbolizes you as something, or as an animal, or something like that, or even like painting your.
I feel like do
Yeah.
any of your OCs have like your features? Or like do you take yourself and use yourself as example?
Yeah.
And put yourself in your art, basically.
For the OCs, no, not at all.
Okay.
When you have creative freedom, what would you?
Yeah,
I would
right?
not put myself.
Like I see myself every day. I don't.
I got you. That makes sense. Wow. You were talking about how you like film and that you wanted to branch into it. Is like any type of film inspired your art?
Yeah, inspired my art, but I haven't like directly gone from it. Like I'm just like, wow, that made me feel creative. But there's like one. I can't really think off the top of my head, but I do watch a lot of movies. The Platform was crazy. Did you guys see that one?
No.
The black phone?
No.
The platform.
The platform.
Platform.
It's just. Well, I'll give like a really brief summary. It's just this guy that ends up going through. There's a bunch of layers, like floors,
Oh,
and
the jail one? Where they got the knife and they start eating this? Yo.
I mean, maybe. I don't.
The one with the cannibalism and stuff, the food's going down.
Yeah, the food goes down each level, and there's like 100 levels.
You said you like surrealism. So like, what are your main inspirations? Like, of course, there's a bunch of newcomers in the space, like Afro surrealists, sort of like Donald Glover type beat, you know. So I was like wondering, who inspires you in that field, you know?
I don't really have any specific artist names. Like when I see something, I'm just like, wow, that was really good.
You know, me too. I don't follow artists. I follow artworks, and the same way I don't follow like artists. Like musically, I follow like songs. Like I would like if I really do, if I have to like really enjoy your art, like in a row for me to like look up who you are. But I'll definitely take inspiration from like, oh, I found this. I saw this really cool this really cool poster in like the subway, or I found this really cool poster on Pinterest. I'll definitely like take those and put them into my art style. But I'm not one to sought out or seek out a certain artist and only follow that certain artist because I think the art is cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. It's usually just like a variety of different artworks that I see.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, that's really great. Like I love the texture. I love the way that they put it. Even like the stories that they give the artwork, like the reasoning behind it, life experiences and stuff like that.
Okay. So, do you think, like, besides family and, like, cultural influences, do you think, like, pop culture, like, regarding, like, TV shows, cartoon shows, anime, like, whatever you're into, like, do you think that's also influenced your art, or is it other? Because I know cartoons have a lot of impact.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I really like SpongeBob. You know those weird cutscenes when they have like he'll like stub his toe and it'll be like the most foul image comes up. Yeah, I don't know. That's just always I've loved that. That and like that one episode where he went to rock bottom and he lost his dollar in the vending machine and he kept on trying to grab it and couldn't get back up. Yeah, I don't know. SpongeBob definitely. I love those weird detailed cutscenes so much.
No, I completely understand. I love the way that they they kind of express emotion like so like I don't want to say badly, but like it's so pushed to the point where exactly it's like oh my god, I can like feel what he's feeling.
Exactly.
It's like roasting me out, because I can feel what he's. I completely understand, and I also love that rock bottom episode.
That's my favorite episode.
Literally. Literally.
Do you have a certain playlist you listen to when you draw?
It's gonna sound really weird, but I only really started listening to music like recently.
Okay.
Like that. Not while drawing, like generally, like I didn't listen to it outside because my mom was like, "You're gonna get kidnapped, so take your headphones out." So, and I didn't really care to listen to it at home because when I had homework or something, or when I wasn't doing homework, I'd be watching TV. Like I would not be listening to music; it would just be what's on the radio. So I decided I should start listening to music because everyone, I guess it's a very important part of, I don't know, people's lives. It is an experience.
It's a way that art can be captured.
Yeah. No,
Audio medium.
it definitely is.
Big
Like, it's
words.
really good. It's just I didn't really get into it. So I was like, I'll start listening to that now because I go to an art school and everyone's going crazy.
Listen to jazz.
No, I do love jazz, actually.
I
Random.
love jazz. Let's not get into that.
Let's
Jazz
talk
is
about
good.
it. Let's
Listen to
talk
jazz
about
when
it.
you draw.
I feel like people who hate jazz are people that don't.
I feel like they're racist.
Yeah, it has to be in some capacity.
I don't like the sounds that they make.
It's like people who don't like rap because it's rap and not because you don't like the artist. Or like if you don't like rap because it's rap and not like you don't have specific reasons to hate rap, you just don't like black culture.
Yeah.
That's how I
People
feel.
who hate rap but like Eminem and
See,
Eminem.
that's weird. That's even weirder.
People exist like
Yes,
that.
bro. I met some, and
Oh, that's
they're
horrible.
rancid people.
Sorry. I
You
was
were ready
saying,
for that.
how do you get over creative block?
Oh, that is a really good question.
Because I hate creative block personally. Like I just get so down.
Experience.
Oh yeah, have you experienced creative block? You probably had it.
And if so, how do you get over it?
Yeah, and if you did, how do you get over it?
Yeah, it's kind of like I don't have a choice. Like, I have to do artwork every day. Like, even when I don't want to paint, I have to do it for school.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I just continue. Like, even if I don't want to draw, even if I think it's like the ugliest thing in existence that I'm painting, I'm still gonna continue. Like,
That's a really good skill to have. I feel like people don't let themselves do bad work.
I was gonna add on to that whole inspiration thing because, like, personally, I also take inspiration from like other artists and like on the internet and stuff like that. And although like inspiration can be very what's the word called? Inspiring. It can also be, at least for me personally, can be like very like discouraging in a weird way. I can't explain the feeling of like being inspired, but also having like the sensation that you can't get there,
Yeah.
so you don't want to do it anymore. Have you ever like
Yes.
gotten to that point where you're like, oh, I love your work so much, but at the same time I kind of like hate you because I can't get there?
yes.
But hold on, before I just wanted to say, like, do you think you're a perfectionist? Because like your art style, since it's so surreal, like it's kind of like
Are
have
you
a lot of
anti-perfection?
freedom. You have a lot of freedom with how you do it still because of like your style. But do you still find yourself being a perfectionist, even though?
Good question.
I don't know. I get really lazy with pieces. So at the end, I'll continue adding details, which is why it gets to that point. Like, I don't really know what it's going to look like. But at the end, it's like, once I'm done painting, I'm not going to go back.
Yeah.
Like, I think, oh yeah, it's fine. So,
I think I'm finished now.
Yeah.
I've done enough. I also want to comment on like I think a lot of my artwork that I've done that I'm the most proud of came from things that I just didn't know what they were. I did it for funsies. And I didn't really know what it was gonna be like in the end. I feel like people also like to piggyback off of this need for perfection. They have a set idea for what they want this thing to look like, and because they have that set idea, it can be very discouraging to either not have the skill set to make that work, or to not have your hand work properly for it to make that work, or just not being able to do it. Period.
Exactly. I hate school art. Like, why are you making me hate art?
Very repetitive.
It's
exactly.
It's so in the box for being art. It's so contradicting. I'm just like, okay.
And I feel like because
so
people
mad.
go to school for this thing, that they're so passionate about, and they do it free on their free time, it's kind of like it's like when you turn your hobby into a job. Like, now you don't get fun out of the hobby anymore. You're just doing it because you gotta get food and pay rent. You know.
Yeah. The piece that was in the Met, was that a school assignment or was that a personal piece?
The piece that was in the Met, I did this art program, and they basically gave us a prompt, and you didn't even really have to stick to it. You could just do whatever you wanted, and they provided the materials. So it wasn't really a school thing at all, no. You just got to play with the stuff and make what you want.
Do you feel like in your school you've had a lot of networking that you've done with other students or with staff? Like, do you think they've helped with that, or do you just get that on your own?
Well, yeah, I would say so, because they give a lot of opportunities all the time. They'll be like providing links to things in like the Google Classrooms. Like, if they see a program or like an internship or something that you should apply to, they'll have it listed there. Yeah, a lot of it is through the school, through people I know. So,
have you had any like internships or programs since you've been at LaGuardia?
Any programs?
Well, you mentioned one before.
Oh yeah, that was during the summer. So I think it was last year. I don't know. I have a really bad concept of dates and times. I'm like a dog, but yeah, that was outside of the school. I didn't find out about that from the school. It's just my friend. So I guess that's another thing. My friends. So yeah, I just applied to it. It was just whatever you wanted, just art.
How does it feel to know that Nicki Minaj went to your school?
That's a good question. That's a good question.
Honestly, I can't even imagine her going there. Like, it feels really weird. Like, I get it now because the art kids, like, they have a flair to them. Like, I don't know. You think that they'd be introverted and stuff, and they're not at all. Like, I guess some are, but typically, no. A lot of people are very extroverted, and they're very creative. It shows in how they dress and how they talk to people. So it does make sense that she went there, but it still just, it doesn't feel right. Like, I can't, that's crazy. I don't know.
I feel like this is kind of out of nowhere, but like, how do you feel like quarantine has affected you?
Because you were in middle school, right, when quarantine happened?
That's like,
You didn't graduate, right?
Sixth grade year
Or did you graduate?
No, I didn't go to the graduation because it was like,
me neither.
Damn.
Like, so you were in sixth grade when quarantine happened?
No,
Seven.
seven.
Yeah.
She's 1 year younger than older than my sister.
I'm like surprised about this. How do you feel like this has affected you? This just seems like kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, seventh
I
grade is
wanna
a
know-
pinnacle. Is a pinnacle point in somebody's life. Everyone talks about like the most traumatic things happen to them when they're like just 12.
No one
Like,
likes
Your
their
life when you're in seventh grade.
no
so
one
it's
likes their
like-
seventh grade year. I've
You
never
were
had
at
a
your down
person
point.
like their seventh grade year. Not a single
is
person
so
ever
true.
I've ever asked.
Seventh grade is full of growth.
It
That
is
is what starts that
physically,
growth.
mentally, emotionally. Like if you tell me you peaked when you were 12, I'm so sorry. You're
No,
a
that
liar,
is
or you're an
crazy.
awful person now. I'm so sorry. Like, there's no,
When you went to a white people's school.
no, like I couldn't. Like 12 was just an awful year to like.
it's a lot. About my art, I don't know. I feel like I developed it more during quarantine because, you know, there's just more time to paint and stuff, and there's really nothing to do. You just draw. So, yeah, it actually helped me with the artwork, and even, like, auditioning for the schools and stuff, I think maybe it was easier because in person, I remember, so my brother actually went to LaGuardia, and he had to go in person, and I remember I went with him, and it was raining, and they had like 1,000 people like spanning around like the school block.
That's crazy.
LaGuardia.
I auditioned for
It was
LaGuardia.
ridiculous.
It's huge, and if there was a block around the school, that's crazy.
Yes, there's always a
'Cause,
block.
so, like, no, it's humongous. I don't know how to articulate how big that school is and how
I've
big
been
the
inside
block
of
around
it.
is.
I've been inside the school before because I wanted to go there, but then I like backed out of it because I was like, maybe not. I was just like, maybe not. So I didn't do it.
How do we close this off?
Do you have any like remarks to give to our
Last
viewers?
words.
Inspirational words to the youth.
I don't know. I really like this. Thank you for having me. This was really nice meeting you guys.
Oh, thank
What do you want to play? Out of curiosity, regular Uno, Star Wars, or
Thank you for listening to HGPCA
We love having
podcast,
you.
and Phil, you're doing amazing.
No, we miss you, Habiba, and Phil. You are doing
Okay, Luna.
Hi, I am Essence, a participant of Hudson Guild's Teen Services, and this is HGPC Hudson Guild Podcast.